Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's a match preview of champions Liverpool take on West Ham United at Anfield. 5:30 kickoff on Saturday afternoon. Gonzo, as always, can I get your thoughts on the Reds, please?
Well, I was going to say they're the best team in the country. They were the best team in the country. They were the best team in Europe, and I don't mean that to be nasty about it. It's they've been decimated by injury, it seems, Geo, and just at a time when I think it's been most cruel for them because I, like everybody else, is really looking forward to seeing Thiago. Oh, I know he's not, but I think Richarlison tried to kill him, but he wasn't successful. He still lives, does Thiago. But I know he's not out for a long time that Van Dijk is. But I felt if there was one thing missing from Liverpool, if there could be, bearing in mind European champions and domestic champions, it was what they lost when Coutinho went. It was just that really creative passer in the middle of the pitch to open things up. I felt they got him in Thiago. They certainly would have felt that they were going to push on and do bigger and better things. But I think if you'd have asked anybody over the last few seasons, Joe, what would be Liverpool's weakness, it would be the lack of strength in depth. And whilst their first, maybe not first 11, but first 13 or whatever was exceptionally good, people would ask, well, who comes in at right back when Trent Alexander's out? Well, they push Gomez over there. You know, what if Robertson's out? Well, of course, I know they addressed that. People like Van Dijk, Firmino's a massive one as well. You feel when people like Origi come in, they're obviously not as the standard that the others are. So it's going to be a really interesting season for Liverpool this year. No doubt about it at all.
I think this is a classic case of sort of victims of your own success, really. Winning the Champions League and winning the Premier League title. And when they won the Champions League, they came second in the Premier League. But they were like, I don't know, they've got the fifth highest ever points tally in the Premier League history, and they still come second. But to have that success 2 years in a row, it's serious pressure for season number 3. You cannot. The only way you can better the one before is by winning the double of the Premier League and the Champions League, and it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And I feel a bit sorry for them because they could almost come runner-up in both competitions, and it should be serious. It should be like a massive season. Well done, Liverpool. But actually, you'd look at it and think it's a bit of a failure, to be honest with you. Do you think the fear factor from Liverpool's gone? We spoke about Man City. This season alone, do you think there's a little bit of something missing from them? I don't know what it is, Gonzo. I just think there's a little bit of something missing from Liverpool, and I'm not sure why. I think Leeds went to Anfield and had a real pop at them and were a little bit unlucky. Sheffield United got beat by them last weekend, but I thought they were unlucky as well. And it seems like teams are just not really afraid to take the gloves off against Liverpool for some reason this year.
I don't think it's just Liverpool. I think it just seems to be the way football is at the moment. I think the fear factor is gone from a lot of teams. I think that people are saying, oh, we'll go in, we'll have a go. And I mean, what you say about Leeds, I mean, it's true. Leeds played well against Manchester City as well and started really brightly, and they've continued that. But Sheffield United were brilliant again last season. A lot of these teams tend to come up and they do very well. So and Leeds are a footballing team, and Bielsa really fancies himself. So I'm not sure it was a lack of the fear factor in many respects. I don't know if it's because football got locked down and everyone's just feeling they want to make the most of it now, so everyone's just going out there and having a go at anyone. It's a weird Premier League. You alluded to it a week or two ago when you said it's got the feel of that Leicester City title winning season about it this year. It's a funny one. No, I wouldn't say necessarily that, but I do think now with the injury to Van Dijk, I think that's changed things. Beforehand, no.
I was going to say to you, because last weekend we had this Man City, we did a preview, and we both said that we think City would win the title. So why do you think Liverpool won't win the title?
Well, I think the Van Dijk thing will be it and it doesn't have to be Van Dijk. So let's not say it's a one-man team. I think take anyone out of there. I think they spend the whole season without Salah, they don't win the title. Whole season without Firmino, don't win the title. Trent Alexander, Arnold as well. I think even a couple of seasons ago, maybe it's the last one, they lost Fabinho for the last couple of months of the season, and you thought, well, they're really trying to maybe it was last season, they're really trying to shoehorn somebody in here and make Henderson drop a little deeper. And of course then Keita, they're trying to get a tune out of him because I don't think Keita was the player that Liverpool thought that they'd purchased, if you know what I mean. I think everyone thought they were buying a world beater, and he wasn't. He's a sort of just a Premier League player, really, isn't he? Not even one that can necessarily get into their team the whole time. Yes, it's I don't know, Gio. It's really difficult for them. It's really difficult for them. Why did I think they weren't? Why did I think Man City were going to win it and not Liverpool? I just fancied it was City's turn, and I fancied that they would be more motivated. And it's hard to keep winning. You've only got to look at Alex Ferguson, read his books. It's hard to keep winning, and I'm glad, by the way, because I didn't want City a few seasons ago to win it for a third time. I think it's unhealthy. So I don't want City win it, Chelsea, ideally West Ham win it every season. Of course, West Ham can't win it. No, Chelsea win, then Liverpool win, then City win, mix it up a bit. I think it's probably good for football, to be honest with you. Liverpool don't win it
Yeah,
this
I'm going to
season.
use the Sir Alex rule of thumb here, and it's easier to do the chasing than it is to be chased. And I think even though Liverpool come so close to win it 2 years ago, I think last season they were still deemed as not quite the underdog, but there was a little bit of romance with Liverpool winning the Premier League. But now they've gone and done it, that romantic period is over now, and the pressure is all on Liverpool. You have to retain the title, otherwise City's done better than you, assuming that they're the ones that win the league. The Van Dijk injury is just massive. He's the best centre back in the league. I don't care what people say. I know there's a lot of. It's almost cool to sort of not rate certain players in the Premier League. And when Van Dijk got injured, there seemed to be this whole social media thing of, he's not that good anyway. Well, he is. He's damn good. He's the best centre back in the league. He's worth points, plural, to Liverpool. Both ends of the pitch sometimes, and I think he's just going to be a massive loss for them. And we've already seen, without him, even just one weekend, I think the gloves are off. I think more teams are going to fancy it a little bit more. More strikers are going to go up against Liverpool thinking, I fancy my chances against Gomez, actually. Maybe not Van Dijk and Gomez, but here we are. Van Dijk's not here. I'm going to have a pop about this. One thing I do think, though, with them, I think their summer transfer window isn't spoken about enough. I think it's pretty underrated. They've gone and got someone in to replace Andy Robertson should anything arise at left back. We've not seen him yet because he's unavailable, but he's there. They've got him in. Thiago's come in, who is... There's not many. I don't think there's many world-class players in the Premier League. 10, maybe, I guess, without thinking about it. Yeah, he's definitely one of them. He just oozes calmness. He's like... He's got that thing that Kevin De Bruyne has. He's got that aura of just class about him. And then they brought in Jota, big money, but he does exactly what Jurgen Klopp wants. And he plays in 3 positions. You can replace Salah, you can replace Firmino, you can replace Mane. And as we saw last weekend, he allows Klopp to change his formation should he have to up against a slightly more organised back line. I just don't think Liverpool's transfer window has been sort of given enough plaudits, if you like. It's all been about Aston Villa and such like, and I don't think enough praise has gone to Klopp and the people responsible for bringing these players in.
And he hit the ground running as well, Jota. He's started scoring. I think he scored in Europe. I think he's certainly scored in the Premier League as well. And he looks tailor-made for them, really. And it's a level above bringing in a Shaqiri, for instance, who it just is. Nobody needs me to explain why. And then when you look at, they were perhaps trying to bring on some youngsters in that position. It's a ready-made player who fits in their team, is not only his Premier League standard, but was a good Premier League player at Wolves anyway. Thiago, yeah, absolutely everything that you said there, really. They needed to, though, because I do think it's what Klopp's done is quite remarkable, because their spend is not that high. It's not like City's spend. So much of that money was brought in by selling Coutinho for 150 million, which of course looks a masterstroke now, and the goalkeeper was a really good buy. You've seen with Chelsea how easy it is to waste vast amounts of money on a goalkeeper, but Klopp went out there and he got it right. He went out there and he bought Van Dijk and he got that right as well. And when you just look at Man City, and they've got loads of 40-50 million pound players, and he can get 1 or 2 wrong. It doesn't matter if Bernardo Silva don't work out, as long as Mahrez does, and so on and so forth. It don't matter if Cancelo don't work out, as long as Kyle Walker doesn't, and on it goes. With Klopp, all these players have got to work out, and by and large, they mostly have. I think Keita would be the only one, perhaps, who wasn't, but he's still been a good player, been a decent player for him. And you know what? If you can get a tune out of Wijnaldum and get him playing at the level he's been playing at, then that's absolutely fine. So they did need to spend money, because they've not spent very much. I feel they've run a tight ship at Liverpool, but I do feel that Klopp has allowed the owners to do that. Klopp has got them out of trouble. They're probably going to need to spend in January now.
Please, Meyer, final question on Liverpool as always.
We mentioned so many of them, haven't we? Trent Alexander-Arnold passes the ball like a midfielder, crosses the ball like David Beckham, is so bright and can. The football pitch is a big thing. I mean, it's a massive, massive area, and some people like Thiago, who is a great example, can control their little area of it by playing 1-2s and control a small area of the pitch. Trent Alexander-Arnold can control a huge area of the pitch because of his range of passing. It's an amazing attribute to be able to stand on one side of the pitch and then impact something that happens all the way over, completely over the other side. That's really quite an attribute and quite a skill because it's such a long distance. I think he's so good at that. I think he's only going to get better, particularly his delivery. Maybe he won't play all his career in that position, quite possibly. So yeah, he's really good. The guys up front, almost feel like I'm cheating mentioning them again. So I won't, but they are all brilliant. Firmino has just oozes class, doesn't he? Dropping deep and linking everything up and making it all happen for him. I'm pleased to see Thiago. I've already mentioned that. I've got to say the goalkeeper as well, though, Gio. The goalkeeper they look a mess whenever that goalkeeper doesn't play. Maybe a mess is push it too far. They're not as good when that goalkeeper doesn't play. Very, very good. Excellent. Yeah, just so many good players to admire there, mate.
I don't know. I think calling Adrian a mess when Alisson doesn't play is a fair comment. Adrian does look like a mess when he has to play for Liverpool. It's as simple as that, really. I think they've got a couple of very underappreciated players. I think for some mad reason, I think Mo Salah is underappreciated. I don't think he gets... His goal scoring record is just ridiculous, and he doesn't seem to get as much plaudits as Mane, even though their goal scoring records are similar, they do a similar job and stuff. I don't know why Salah doesn't seem to get as much praise, but I think Jordan Henderson as well. He's a funny one. Whenever I watch Liverpool without Jordan Henderson, I think they're missing Jordan Henderson. I think they need Jordan Henderson. There's something not right here. There's no Henderson. But whenever Henderson's playing, if Liverpool aren't winning, I'm thinking, you need to get Henderson off the pitch here. You need to get him off and get someone else on. And he's a very funny player, but I do think Henderson's very underappreciated as well. And when he was in the running for like PFA Player of the Year and stuff last season up against De Bruyne, I just felt there was a lot of people turning their nose up at it. It was almost like he wasn't glamorous enough to win the award or something. I think he's a fantastic player. But Curtis Jones is someone I'm really looking forward to seeing at Liverpool, the young lad that plays sort of in centre midfield. He had a couple of crap games recently, but I do think there's something about him. When I watch him, I think he's got a bit of class about him. He shoots too much sometimes, but I do think he'll become a very good player. If not for Liverpool, I think you might have to do what Brewster's done, which is move away and try and make your sort of your career elsewhere, then go to a club like Liverpool. I do think he might have to get away from Liverpool for a little bit, but I do think there's something about him I quite like. Anyway, we're going to talk about team news for Liverpool very quickly. We know Van Dijk's out. Fabinho went off injured with a hamstring injury, so it's extremely unlikely he's going to be playing. Matip is back in training though, so he could be included, which would partner Gomez at the centre back area, but he's not played for quite a while, so it's unsure if he's going to get thrown in at the deep end. Should neither of those be available, it's probably going to be Reece Williams that starts at centre back, who's a 19-year-old and not played too many games for the first team in Liverpool, so that'd be good for West Ham. Thiago and Keita are both doubtful, but possible, but doubtful. So it'll be Jurgen Klopp has some injury problems. Anyway, let's move on to West Ham. Now we're going to leave Michail Antonio for a minute. The Michail Antonio is a big question. We're going to leave that, and we're going to assume he is injured. I'll tell you what the latest news is in a second. But Gonzo, assuming Antonio is injured. Me and you are quite similar in this one, though it's a bit boring. We almost need a non-Yarmolenko fan on, a non-Sebastian Haller fan on here, but he's got to be given his chance, surely.
Yeah, the trouble is with the opposite. I saw somebody today, and they said we should go with Bowen and on the right, Yarmolenko up front, and keep Fornells, and there's just no pace there. There's not enough. We're going to play a team with. Okay, at best, two centre-backs, one of whom's been out injured, but an unfamiliar partnership. They're unfamiliar with one another. And whoever plays is going to be unfamiliar with the other one for the pure and simple reason that Van Dijk's playing record is exceptional. He played every game almost. So we have to go at these. We have to try and turn them and get them running the other way. And we're going to have to try and put balls in the air. And that is where Sebastian Haller comes into it. You could almost... if you were going to tailor make a situation that would be good for West Ham at the moment, it would be uncertainty amongst the centre halves. Because what we're going to say is we're going to want free kicks and we're going to want corners. We're going to try and get as many as possible. And actually, if you could do that, you've got to bring Sebastian Haller in, because what you're doing is you're bringing another tall header into a team that is already full of tall people who can head the ball. It has to be Haller.
I completely agree. I think it's make or break for Alia under Moyes, to be honest with you. I think Moyes is the manager that sort of, he likes you, he doesn't like you. It's one of the two. He's not very unsure on players. He finds out very quickly. And I think you, as a footballer, find out very quickly. I think we, as a football fan, find out very quickly who Moyes likes and who Moyes doesn't like. And I think Sebastian Haller is one of those players who is in an unusual grey area with David Moyes, because he's not really had much opportunity. But when he has had it, unfortunately it's been against lower league oppositions in the cups, and that he has provided the goals, which probably says to David Moyes, well, maybe there's something in here. But when he comes on against Man City and there's not really anything about him, it probably stops Moyes from saying, actually, this is the guy I can work with. But then we had Southampton at home before lockdown, didn't we? When Sebastian Haller was unplayable, we put in one of our best performances of the season. But it's if Antonio's out and Haller does not start, then I don't understand when Haller is ever going to start under David Moyes. I think you'd almost be better off looking to get rid of him in January and cutting our losses on him and recouping as much money as possible, getting in a striker that Moyes can and will work with. But this is the problem when your manager's not sufficiently backed in the transfer window. He's now trying to put a square peg in a round hole. He's got
a square peg. I like
he's
it.
got to
absolutely. That's how hard it is to fit him in.
He's got to change the shape of the hole, Moyes. He's got to make it a square hole. But I'm not sure he will. I'm a bit cautious. I'm not sure Moyes will. I think he will continue to play the same way. I think Fornals will continue to be in the team, and Haller will go in there and say, well, do what Antonio does, please. And it's going to say, well, I can't. But then this is where I think Moyes is perfectly within his right to turn around to David Sullivan, say, look what you're forcing me to do. I wanted a player, we know it's Josh King. I wanted Josh King, so I didn't have this situation. You've caused this situation. But a lot of people, including myself, Gonzo, and I guess yourself, I've seen your video, but just for people who haven't seen either of our videos, if Haller starts up front, we want to see a little change in behind Sebastian Haller.
Yeah, you've got to get support up with him. You can't expect him to do the job that Antonio's going to do, and you can't expect him to fill the spaces that Antonio's going to do. But that's fine. He brings other sets of attributes, Geo. He holds the ball up tremendously well. He's a more natural finisher than Mikel Antonio. Will get into better finishing positions. He heads the ball fantastically well. When someone holds the ball up and heads the ball fantastically well, you need somebody near him. And number one, Bowen's going to have to get near him, but it is not going to be enough for him to play Pablo Fornals in this one, because he's not going to be able to get close to Sebastian Haller quickly enough, and that's what you're going to need. And you're going to need to be quite incisive when you do it. For that reason, I would more or less keep the same shape, but he might ask him to take up slightly different positions. But I would be putting Manuel Lanzini in there, and if that didn't work out, I'll be bringing Ben Rama on to play in that position, because I do feel that whilst Sebastian Haller brings the qualities I've just mentioned, he's not the attacking tour de force that Antonio is. So you've got to add a little bit more attacking option to your forward line, and that's why I would bring Lanzini in there, because he will give us a little bit more something in and around the box.
Yeah, I'm not bothered if it's Lanzini or Ben Rama, to be honest with you. I think they're very similar players in some characteristics about them. I think they're both creators as well, but they're also both can score goals, and Sebastian Haller can provide plenty. I think at Frankfurt he had like 20 assists or something. This isn't a guy that cannot lay it off, flick it on, whatever. Sebastian Haller can do all that, and we've just not really utilised it correctly enough. And I'm not sure Pablo Fornals on the pitch is the right person to utilise that strength of Sebastian. I think you do need Ben Rama or Lanz. You need someone that's going to run in behind Liverpool's defence. If Haller drops 5 yards deep, you've got Bowen and Ben Rama running 5 yards behind him saying flick it and we'll chase it. Not sure Fornals does that. I do think Moyes will stick with Fornals. Fornals doesn't deserve to be dropped. It's just unfortunately he doesn't necessarily fit the style we're going to have to play in order to accommodate Sebastian Haller at front. Any other changes for you, if apart from that the rest remain the same?
The personnel, yeah, but I want the tactics have to be more like they were against City than against Tottenham, because if we're too high, then what Kane and Son did to us then Salah will very much do that to us as well. We need to sort that space out between the back line and the goalkeeper. We need to compress that a bit.
Yeah, and the Mikel Antonio news, it varies, and this comes back to the new thing that David Moyes is wanting. David Moyes wants no leaks, and I'll tell you something, I think he's done a bit of a blinder so far, whatever he's done, David, because there's some people suggesting he's out for up to 6 weeks. The Athletic today are reporting that Mikel Antonio is actually okay for Saturday. We're just keeping it hush-hush, and he's actually going to be at Anfield ready to go. But the fact is that nobody knows. Brilliant. We're working. Everybody's guessing a little bit. The Athletic do tend to be quite reliable. I think Mike Skinner thinks he's fit as well, but my gosh, don't he just know it. If Antonio is reasonably fit, Gonzo, would you start him, bench him, or would you like to see him rested? Because even if he is in the squad, he's not going to be 100%, is he? Because this is 2 games now where he's looked a bit iffy.
Well, it depends. It depends if this is smoke and mirrors or if it's the truth. But I mean, he doesn't want these leaks coming out. If it turns out actually what the Athletics are reporting is true, and actually he's fine, he's had a scan. If he plays, it means he's had a scan. The scan says no, he's fine, and it was actually just a bit of cramp. If it's hamstring, he won't play. If he's fine, it means he's had cramp. Well, cramp's fine. Don't get me wrong, it's not great. He's cramping up all the time, but that's Mikel Antonio. He's a big, powerful geezer. It's going to happen. I would be very interested to know if they have got it right. Then Moyes going to want to know who's leaked that to the Athletic, and they're going to be in a lot of trouble actually, because I think he wants people booted out. I mean, you know, he don't muck around, that guy. I'll tell you, he does. He's funny, isn't he? Very nice. He's delivered a vegetable, say nice things, but I tell you, he's ruthless. He is ruthless, that guy. I'd play him if he's fit. Play him. If he's not fit, don't play him. I don't think there's any middle ground really. If he is half fit, which is the middle ground, then fine, just leave him. Play him in Fulham. This is one of your, whatever you call it, one of your free passes. This one against Liverpool. But it's not such a free pass that I'd write it off. I wouldn't write off our chances of getting something for this game. And Salah and Mane, they can have 3 goals past us before we know it, just like Tottenham. They could absolutely run riot against us, Liverpool. But let's not concede defeat just yet. I bet Moyes is rubbing his hands, thinking I can cause this mob a few problems.
Yeah, if he has done the dirty on the Athletic, Moyes, he's done a proper Rebecca Vardy, isn't he? He's really done the Colleen Rooney on them, isn't he?
This is it. Yeah,
I want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to see a David Moyes article. There's been leaks at the club, so I decided to find out who it was. I've told one person this news about the Mikel Antonio. It came out in the Athletic. It was ... I want them to name who it was as well. This person, he's out.
Yeah. I told this person 1 day. I told this person 5 days. This person 2 weeks. This person 5 weeks. This person, they're okay.
So now I know.
Come on. Let's see.
Now I know who tells the Mirror. Now I know who tells that site and that site. So now I know. I've got you all.
Clara and Hugh said we're saying nothing.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see if Mikel. If Antonio's not 100% fit, I don't think I'd risk him, Gonzo. I think we're in a very. We've earned this position. We've got ourselves into a very nice position that we've got enough points on the board. It is a free hit at Anfield. Even against Fulham, we've got an international break after it. You could almost afford to give Mikel Antonio a month off and say, look, just properly rest up, come back in, and you'll be in the first team again, ready to go. Because we should have enough about us to beat Fulham without Antonio. But Antonio's probably our main player now. Certainly going forward, he's our most important player. I don't think we can risk him. I just don't want to see him risk. The last thing I want to see is him start and half time or whatever, he's coming off, and then we find out he's out for 2 months or something. I just don't think it's worth the short term gain is not worth the long term risk, if you like. So unless he's 100%, I wouldn't touch him. Are you optimistic for this one?
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah. I think we've got a decent chance. But I think both teams have a decent chance, and you can't say that normally going into games of this magnitude. I know we've already discussed Liverpool, but it's not just the injury, Geo. It's the impact of the mindset of the squad that injury has. It's not even making them completely doubtful. It's 5% doubt in a defender's mind. Now, that's all you need. This is top level sport. Little percentages here and there are all you need. And if the whole mood of the camp has dipped slightly, and I think Moyes is an excellent man, and not Moyes, Klopp's an excellent manager, and he can, if they're feeling a bit down, and I'm pretty sure he's that sort of big type of character that he can bring them up and all the rest of it. But I do think they've got some things they've got to deal with surrounding the injury crisis that they've got at the moment. So I think we can capitalise on that. It makes me optimistic.
Yeah, I'm quite optimistic as well. This is the only thing that makes me want to see Antonio, even if he's not 100% fixed. I do think he'll run riot against this defence. I think it's a bit weak. Even if Matip is playing, he's not played for a while. He's going to be rusty. You'd fancy at least one of their centre-backs to get booked at some point during the game. I've seen Antonio turn Connor Cody inside out, and I've seen Connor Cody before that game and after that game come out with man of match performances and stuff. Not many people get the better of Cody over 90 minutes, but Antonio done that, and I just think I've also seen Gomez struggle against strikers not as effective as Mikel Antonio, so to get him on against them would be good. But I think Fabinho's a massive loss for them. I know it's all about Van Dijk at the minute, but if Fabinho's hamstring injury is bad enough to keep him out for this one, huge plus for us because he's been playing centre back, but him out of midfield and out of the centre back position, you wonder who's going to be the leader in the centre back without Van Dijk and Fabinho in there. A midfielder's going to have to play the defensive midfielder role, which isn't necessarily their natural position. Klopp's got 2 or 3 real issues here with the lineup and stuff, and I don't think he can play the formation he did against Sheffield United against us. I think that would help us with our counter-attacking football. Remember I said to you before the Spurs game, I said, got Spurs, City, Liverpool, I don't think we'll lose all 3.
Yes.
Remember before the City game, I said, we've got City, then Liverpool, I don't think we'll lose both. Well, we've only got Liverpool left, and I still don't think we're going to lose it, Gonzo. I've got a good feeling about this one. I think our attitude, I thought against Man City, I thought we were excellent, and they had a couple of opportunities to win the game. So what? You're playing players, a team of world-class players. It's going to happen by law of averages. I thought in the first half, I thought we were the better team. We turn up like that against Liverpool, I think they would do all right. I've seen enough from Liverpool, Sheffield United to suggest we're going to create opportunities here. And most of their opportunities came from coming down the sides and just crossing the ball. One thing we're doing quite a lot of recently is getting down the sides and crossing the ball. Do that, get Souček in there. Fancy it. Can I get your final words and your score prediction, please, Gonzo?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we'd be high on the list of teams Liverpool would want to play at the moment. I think that'd be fair for a lot of teams. We'd probably be looking at West Ham thinking, I'd rather not play them at the moment. They're a pain in the bum. There's something we need to do. And bearing in mind they're going to be weak at centre-half, I already think, they're wonderful players, Robertson and Van Dijk, and Alexander-Arnold, by the way. In fact, the first player I picked out was Alexander-Arnold, tremendous player. But they're not brilliant defenders. So if your 2 in the centre are not brilliant defenders, then it means your fullbacks are they going to have to do more defending than A, they're used to doing, and B, they're comfortable doing. So I want to see us devise something to try and isolate, particularly Trent Alexander-Arnold down that side. Now, if that's Masuaku really pushing up, because I know people say Salah and Mane wide, but they tuck in a lot. We can get 2-on-1s down in wide positions if we're clever. I don't know if that's Ben Rama linking up with Masuaku and doing some 1-2s, or the other side, Bowen and Sufal, something like that, where we can organise a bit of a tag team on them and then get some crosses over. When you talk about Matip, I'm actually confident, regardless of which striker we got, because I think both Mikel Antonio and Sebastian Haller can do Matip, actually, if you pardon the expression, to paint a terrible picture, of course. I think, and thought of this, I think West Ham are going to win 2-0.
2-0. Interesting. I think the Masuaku one's key for us as well, actually. I do think he can get at Trent constantly. And to be fair, if I was West Ham, I would just come up with a game plan, just get down our left, just keep going. With Creswell coming behind Masuaku, not like that.
They're all like it.
Running behind Masuaku.
No wonder Miguel Antonio's injured.
With Creswell running behind Masuaku as well. But to get across, if Masuaku can almost pin Trent back, Creswell can ask questions of Salah and say, are you going to trap back? Are you going to come back and defend? I think the answer would be no. A few. He does trap back, but he's not the hardest working winger I've ever seen in the Premier League. Cresswell will have plenty of opportunity. He likes to take a touch before he crosses it. I think against Salah, he gets that touch to take it before he crosses it. And we've got, like you said, Ali or Antonio in the middle. You're going to put your money on them to win a fair share of battles in there. I'm quite optimistic as well. Like, I think the Fabinho loss is just huge for them. I think he's the one that helps cover Robertson and Trent going forward. They'll still get forward, but it just means there's perhaps going to be a bit more space in behind them than usual. I'm going to go for 1-0 West Ham. Actually, I think we're going to win 1-0. But I'll say it now. I'll take a point. I think a point would be a fantastic result at Anfield. So if we can get a point, I'll be delighted. Anyway, we will be back on Saturday. It's a 5:30 kickoff, so we will be live at 4:25ish with the team lineups for both sides. We'll be taking a look at how David Moyes is starting, if Mikel Antonio's there or if he's dead. He's not dead, but you know what I mean. We'll be taking final thoughts, a score prediction. We'll be having our little bet giveaway as well. Then if you're not watching the game, don't you worry. Got to watch along. Tom and Charlie will be taking you through the game throughout the 90 minutes, and we'll have a review live straight after the match. But Gonzo, fingers crossed for a West Ham win at Anfield, and I'll catch you in a bit.
See you
Drop a
soon.
like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you on Saturday.